the street that spoke in English, the library of lost words, the city that whispers. The rain had stopped hours ago, but the street still glistened under the pale amber lights. The city was quiet, but not silent. The kind of quiet that feels alive, as if it's waiting for someone to listen. You walk down a narrow street you've never seen before, though something about it feels familiar. The buildings lean slightly, old and breathing, their windows half open as if whispering secrets into the night. You hear it first, not with your ears, but with something deeper. The rhythm of footsteps, the faint rustle of pages, the hum of words floating through the air like dust in golden light. It's English, but not the English you know. It's softer, older, almost human in the way it breathes between sentences. A sign flickers above a corner shop, the Library of Lost Words. You stop. The letters look hand-painted, uneven, fading at the edges. Beneath it, a door of dark wood stands slightly open, the kind of open that's not an invitation, but a test. You push it gently, and the bell above the door trembles with a sound so thin it almost breaks. Inside, the smell of old paper and rain fills your lungs. Shelves rise higher than sight, packed with books of every size, every color, every era. Some look centuries old, others seem to breathe. You step forward. The floor creaks like it's remembering something. There's no one here, yet you feel watched, not by eyes, but by words themselves. You touch the nearest book. Its cover is warm, almost pulsing. You open it, and for a moment you don't read. You listen. A voice rises from the pages, calm, deep, familiar. Every word you've ever forgotten still lives here. You freeze. The room feels smaller now, the air heavier. The voice continues. They say the street outside speaks English because it remembers every voice that's walked it. But here, inside, you'll find the words that people stopped saying. You close the book slowly. The world around you feels different now. The rain on the windows becomes a kind of rhythm. The faint creak of the door becomes a tone. And somewhere inside you, something stirs. A memory, a sound, a word you didn't know you'd lost. You walk deeper into the library. The air hums softly, as if every book is whispering its own story. You don't know what you're looking for, but you know this: you'll never hear English the same way again. Because tonight, you've stepped into the place where language remembers itself. The street that remembers. The night had turned colder, but the street still shimmered, its cobblestones slick with rain and reflections. Every light had a voice. The flicker of the lamppost hummed like a heartbeat. The wind carried the faint echo of laughter that didn't belong to this hour. You step back onto the pavement, the library door closing behind you with a soft, final sigh. The sign above, the Library of Lost Words, flickers once more, as if aware you've just crossed some invisible threshold. The sound of your shoes hitting the stone feels louder now. You're not walking through silence anymore. You're walking through language. It starts subtly, a whisper in the distance, not quite speech, not quite sound. Then, as you listen closer, the city begins to talk. The street itself breathes. Listen, it says, the words stretching between the corners of buildings. Everything you've ever learned is still here. You stop. There's no one around. Yet the air feels crowded, thick with fragments of phrases, pieces of sentences you've heard somewhere before. Excuse me. Take care. You're welcome. Don't forget. Voices layered on voices, the living memory of conversation. You realize these aren't ghosts. They're echoes of people who once spoke here. Every person who ever learned, taught, whispered, or confessed something in English has left an imprint. A woman's voice cuts through clearer than the rest. I used to come here to practice, she says. You turn, but there's no one. I'd repeat words I didn't understand, the voice continues, until they started to mean something, The sound seems to come from everywhere. Walls, puddles, air. You follow it down the street, past shuttered shops and broken neon signs. Every few steps, a phrase breaks loose and floats by like a leaf in the wind. Hello again. Never mind. It's been a while. Each one stirs something inside you. Emotions not tied to vocabulary, but to experience. The street doesn't teach grammar. It teaches feeling. You pass a cracked window. Inside, a radio murmurs softly. A weather report fading into static. You pause to listen, and for a moment, you realize how fluency feels. Not like understanding every word, but recognizing the shape of meaning as it moves through sound. Further ahead, you see an alley branching off, darker, narrower, almost humming. It feels alive, like a vein carrying the pulse of the city. You step into it. The air shifts, denser, quieter, older. The walls are covered in faded posters, handwritten notes, fragments of letters. Sentences in English, half erased by time. You touch one. The paper crumbles under your fingers, but the words stay. Speak to be remembered. The voice of the street returns. Softer now, closer. You're not learning English, it says. You're remembering it. You breathe deeply. Something about that line, remembering it, rings true. You think of every phrase you've ever forgotten, every word you once translated and then lost in meaning. The rain starts again, lightly. Drops hit the ground like punctuation. The rhythm is slow, deliberate, a conversation between sky and earth. You realize you've stopped translating sounds into sense. You're simply listening. The street is no longer a place. It's a teacher. It speaks in accents of memory, in tones of time, in grammar made of heartbeat. And as you turn back toward the library's dim outline in the distance, you finally understand what it meant when the voice said, "Every word you've ever forgotten still lives here." You whisper, almost without meaning to, "I'm listening." The street answers, not in words but in warmth. The librarian without a name. The bell above the door trembles again as you step back inside. This time, it doesn't sound like a bell. It sounds like a sigh, as if the library itself is exhaling, relieved that you've returned. The smell of paper feels stronger now, almost physical. You can taste it in the air, ink, age, and rain. The books seem to shift slightly as you pass, their spines glinting in the soft, uneven light. Somewhere deep within, a clock ticks. You follow the sound. The library is endless. Rows of shelves stretch into dim corridors where light refuses to stay. The ticking grows louder, steadier, until it stops. You turn a corner, and there he is. A man sits behind a long oak desk, surrounded by scattered pages. His hair is silver, his coat worn. He doesn't look up right away. Instead, he keeps writing, not words, but symbols that look almost musical. When he finally lifts his head, his eyes are calm. "You came back," he says. His voice is quiet, but it carries weight. You hesitate. "I didn't mean to leave." He smiles faintly. No one ever does. You glance at the book in front of him. The title glows faintly. Words the World Forgot. "What is this place?" you ask. He leans back in his chair. "It's where words rest when people stop listening." The sentence lands like a whisper through water. He continues, "Languages don't die when no one speaks them. They fade when no one hears them." You sit across from him. There's dust on the chair, but you don't mind. "You're the librarian?" you ask. He nods, though the gesture feels more like acknowledgement than pride. "Not really. I'm more of a caretaker. The words take care of themselves. I just make sure they're not lonely." You look around. The books seem to hum faintly. A low, continuous sound, like the ocean behind a wall. "Do they talk?" you ask. He smiles again. Only when someone listens. He slides a book across the table toward you. The cover is plain. No title, no author, just a single fingerprint pressed into the leather. What's inside? He tilts his head. That depends. Every person hears something different. Go on, open it. You do. The pages are blank at first. Then, slowly, faint lines begin to appear, forming words you recognize. Phrases you've said before, mistakes you've made, sentences you once practiced out loud. How are you? I'm fine. I don't understand. Can you repeat that, please? Common phrases. Simple. But when you read them here, they feel different. Heavier. Alive. They echo in your mind like voices from another lifetime. These are mine, you whisper. He nods. The street keeps what you forget. The library gives it back. You trace one sentence with your finger. I don't understand. The words blur for a moment, then rearrange themselves into something new. I'm beginning to understand. You look up, startled. The librarian is watching you closely. You see, he says softly. Words change when you remember them with feeling. That's how you stop learning English and start living it. For a moment, the silence between you hums. You realize this place isn't about study. It's about memory, emotional memory. Every word you've ever repeated without meaning has been waiting here for you to finally feel it. He closes the book gently. You can't take it with you, he says. But you'll carry what it teaches. What's that? He stands, his movements slow but certain. To listen for the words that haven't been spoken yet. You turn as if to ask something else, but he's already gone. Or maybe he was never there. The clock starts ticking again. You stand, the book still warm in your hands. When you set it down, it opens on its own. And one last line writes itself across the page. The next word you understand will not be learned. It will be remembered. The Book of Voices. The silence isn't empty. It's waiting. You stand alone in the corridor of books, each shelf humming faintly. A deep, low vibration that feels almost alive. The air tastes of paper and dust, of memory soaked into time. The sound comes not from the walls, but from the pages themselves, murmuring in the quiet. You walk between them slowly. Words begin to rise from the air like smoke. Some are soft and trembling. Please, sorry again. Others are sharp and bright. Never, always, now. They hover for a moment, then dissolve before you can touch them. You hear a voice, not from a person, but from somewhere behind the sound. Every word you've ever spoken leaves an echo, it says, and every echo waits to be heard. You stop at a table in the center of the hall. On it lies a single open book. The ink on the pages moves like water, sentences rippling across the surface. You read one line, but it's not written for you. It's written from you. You once said, "I understand," and didn't mean it. The words sting, not like accusation, but like truth. The voice returns, closer now. Every time you spoke without listening, a word was lost. Every time you memorized instead of feeling, a sentence fell silent. The room feels heavier. You look around and the shelves seem taller now, almost endless. Filled not with books, but with voices. Hundreds, maybe thousands, whispering at once. Fragments of English spoken by people across time. Teachers, strangers, travelers, children. The voices overlap. Are you okay? I'll be fine. Listen to me. I'm listening. Each phrase feels personal. Each tone carries emotion, fatigue, hope, tenderness. You can hear the difference between politeness and honesty, between learning a language and living in it. You realize something. This isn't a library of text. It's a library of sound. Every book is a life. Every page is a heartbeat. You close your eyes. The whispers merge into a single pulse, slow and rhythmic, a sound between breathing and rain. Then one voice rises above the rest. It's clear, calm, familiar. Fluency isn't how many words you know, it says. It's how many you remember with your heart. You open your eyes. The words have vanished from the page. The book in front of you is blank again, but you can still hear it. The silence has texture now. Meaning. You speak aloud, almost without deciding to. Hello? The word hangs in the air, glowing faintly before fading. Another voice answers. Your own, from somewhere else in the room. Hello? You shiver. The sound doesn't echo. It responds. Every word you say comes back to you, reshaped by memory, tone, and understanding. You try again. Thank you. Thank you, the voice returns. Softer, deeper, full of emotion. The book in front of you flips its own page. A new line appears, handwritten in light. The more you listen, the clearer your own voice becomes. You reach out and touch the page. The light spreads under your fingertips like warmth. You realize that language has always been more than words. It's an echo between hearts, a bridge between silences. The sound fades slowly. You breathe deeply, the scent of the library wrapping around you again. And for a moment you hear something outside. Faint, but distinct. The street. Speaking. You turn toward the door. The library feels quiet again, as if resting after a long confession. But inside you, something new has awakened. A fluency that doesn't need translation. You whisper one last phrase to the room. I hear you. And somewhere, between walls of books and layers of silence, the language answers. At last. The echo collector. The air is colder now. Not the kind of cold that comes from temperature, but from distance. The space between what's been said and what was meant. You walk down a narrow corridor at the back of the library. The shelves here are darker, older. The books are thinner, wrapped in dust. Each one hums faintly. The sound of something struggling not to be forgotten. The corridor leads you to a spiral staircase, descending into shadow. You hesitate, then take the first step. The sound of your shoes echoes down the stairwell, a hollow rhythm that feels too loud, too alive. With each step, the air thickens. You're not alone anymore. At the bottom, you find a vast circular room lit by candles. The light flickers across the walls, revealing something impossible. The shelves here are not filled with books, but with bottles. Thousands of glass bottles, each sealed with wax. Inside every one, a sound glows faintly. A single word trapped in motion. You walk closer. One bottle hums softly. Sorry. Another vibrates faintly. Please. A third one, barely audible, whispers, I love you. The air vibrates with quiet desperation, like 1,000 unfinished conversations waiting for someone to listen. Then, from the shadows, a voice speaks. Don't open them. You turn. A figure stands by the far wall. A woman this time dressed in gray, her hands covered in ink. She steps into the light, her eyes dark but kind. They're fragile, she says softly. Once you open an echo, it never stops speaking. You glance around. You collect them? She nods. I don't collect them. I keep them. There's a difference. Her tone is calm, but it carries weight. The weight of someone who's been listening for centuries. Who are you? You ask. I'm the echo collector, she replies. Every word people say and forget finds its way here. She walks past you, touching the bottles gently as she speaks. This one, she says, pointing, was someone's first thank you. They meant it. She moves to another. And this one, a promise never kept. You watch as she passes dozens more, each whispering its own faint tone. You stop in front of one marked with your name. The wax seal glows faintly as you approach. "What's in that one?" you ask. She looks at you with quiet sympathy. "A word you said once, but didn't hear yourself say." You hesitate. "Can I listen?" She shakes her head. You already are. The candlelight flickers, and suddenly the bottles begin to hum louder. The sounds swell together. "Please, sorry, stay, goodbye," until the air trembles. It's not noise, it's grief. Every unsaid thing, every unfinished thought, every apology left behind, all blending into one human chorus. You close your eyes. The vibrations move through you. Not painful, but deep, like the heartbeat of language itself. The echo collector's voice cuts through softly. "You see why I don't open them? Once the echoes wake, they don't forget again." You look at her. "Why keep them at all?" She smiles, tired, tender. "Because forgotten words still deserve a home." Her words linger in the air, wrapping around you like mist. You realize now that this place, this library, isn't about learning at all. It's about remembering that language is human, that every word, once spoken, carries someone's hope, someone's fear, someone's attempt to connect. The hum fades. The bottles quiet themselves again. The silence that follows isn't empty. It's sacred. Before you leave, the echo collector turns to you. "You've listened well," she says. "Now take care of what you hear." You climb the staircase back toward the faint light above. The sound of your footsteps follows you, a soft rhythm that feels like a heartbeat. And somewhere below, among the bottles, one whisper breaks free. It's your voice, the one that said, "I'm listening." Only now it sounds different, older, truer, alive. The room of silent books. The stairs creak beneath your feet as you rise from the echo chamber. The hum fades behind you, replaced by something heavier. A stillness so complete it almost rings in your ears. The deeper you walk into the corridor, the quieter the world becomes. Even your own breathing feels too loud. You reach a narrow doorway framed in black wood. There's no sign above it, only a single word carved faintly into the grain. "Listen." You push it open. The room is enormous and completely still. No candles, no light. Only the faint gray glow of dawn seeping through a single skylight high above. The walls are lined with shelves, but the books here are different. Their pages are sealed shut, edges smooth as stone. Each cover bears a title written in invisible ink, visible only when you move close enough to disturb the air. You pick one up. It's cold to the touch. The cover flickers faintly, and then, for a heartbeat, the title appears. "Things I Meant to Say." You open it carefully. The pages are blank, but they hum softly, a pulse beneath your fingertips. You close your eyes and listen, and suddenly the silence begins to speak. Not in words, in moments. You hear the inhale before a confession that never came. You hear the pause after "I was going to say," but didn't. You hear the sigh of someone leaving before the sentence was finished. These are the unsaid words, the half-built bridges between people that never reached the other side. You walk deeper into the room. Each step reveals another book, another phantom story. The apology that stayed inside. The question I never asked. What I should have told you. You open one at random, and the air around you changes. Dense, trembling. You hear two voices. A woman says softly, "I wanted to tell you I was proud." A man replies after a long silence, "I know." Then both voices fade, dissolving into the quiet. You realize what this room is. It's the memory of hesitation, the place where silence is stored, the words that died in throats, the thoughts that turned into regrets, the emotions that language couldn't carry. The silence itself becomes language here. You can hear tone without sound, emotion without speech. It's painful, beautiful, necessary. You whisper, almost afraid of breaking the spell. Why didn't they say it? And the air answers, soft, surrounding everywhere at once. Because some words are too fragile to survive being spoken. You stand still, listening. There's truth in that. You think of all the times you've stayed quiet, not out of fear, but because silence felt truer than speech. Every language has a space for silence. You realize English does too. You touch another book. Its cover glows faintly, and a single phrase appears, handwritten and trembling. Fluency is not saying everything. It's knowing what needs no words. You close it gently, almost reverently. Around you, the room feels alive again, the silence pulsing like breath. You step back toward the doorway. Before you leave, you look over your shoulder one last time. The room looks different now, softer, warmer, almost forgiving. You realize that silence isn't absence. It's presence, unspoken. As you step into the corridor, you whisper to yourself, "I understand." And the silence, vast, infinite, listening, answers back, "You always did." The map of forgotten languages. The corridor beyond the room of silent books feels different now, lighter but older. The air carries a hum that's neither music nor noise, something ancient that vibrates through your ribs. You follow it. The floorboards groan softly underfoot, and the glow of a single oil lamp ahead guides you into a vast, circular chamber. The walls are covered in maps, not of countries or continents, but of sound. Waves, spirals, pulses, lines that flow and branch like rivers. The air here smells of ink, dust, and ocean wind. In the center stands a round table made of black stone. Upon it lies a great atlas, open to a page that shifts and ripples like water. You step closer. At first, it looks like an ordinary map, coastlines, markings, faded lettering. But as you look deeper, you realize the names are not places. They're languages. Latin, Sanskrit, Akkadian, Ainu, Gaelic, Nyangatu. Each name glows faintly like a heartbeat in sleep. You whisper, "What is this?" And from somewhere unseen, a voice answers. Calm, patient, familiar. The map of what we forget. You turn, expecting to find the librarian or the echo collector, but no one is there. The voice seems to come from the map itself. "These are the languages that once filled the world," it continues. "Every one of them was someone's home, someone's lullaby, someone's last word." You trace your finger along a curved line of light. The map reacts, a faint whisper rising from beneath your hand. A voice speaks, soft and rhythmic, in a tongue you don't recognize. You don't understand the words, but you feel them: warmth, longing, loss. It sounds like love remembering itself. The voice fades. The map shifts. New patterns emerge, spirals of dots that connect and disappear. You realize each mark represents a person who once spoke a language now gone. Every time the world forgets, a light goes out here. You whisper, "So this is where they come when we stop speaking them?" "Yes," the voice replies. "Every language you stop listening to still exists here, as vibration, as memory." You stand in silence for a long time. The map glows faintly, breathing like a living thing. You think of the words you've learned, the ones you've lost, the ones that never translated quite right. "What happens," you ask, "when no one remembers?" The voice answers softly, "Then the language becomes a dream, waiting for someone who can listen without trying to understand." You let that settle inside you. Maybe fluency isn't about speaking or knowing. Maybe it's about remembering that language was never ours. It was always borrowed from the ones who came before. You run your hand over the map again. For a moment, the glow beneath your fingers shifts into familiar shapes. Words you know, phrases from your life, the language you speak every day. But this time, English looks different. Not fixed, but fluid, alive. A river carrying fragments from every other tongue it's ever touched. And then you see it. At the bottom corner of the page, written in fading light, every language is just memory learning to breathe again. You close your eyes. The hum grows louder. The maps on the walls begin to shimmer, as if every forgotten word in the world is exhaling at once. You feel it in your chest. The sound of millions of voices layered together, each one reaching for understanding. You realize now that you've never truly learned a language. You've only ever been remembering how to listen. The light begins to dim. You step back toward the corridor, but the map calls to you one last time. Not in words, but in rhythm. A pulse, a heartbeat. You whisper, "I hear you." The map answers, "Then none of us are lost." The word that returned. You walk back toward the entrance of the library. The corridors no longer feel endless. They feel like veins leading to a single heart. The air hums softly, warm now, almost human. Every room you pass seems to breathe as you go by. The echoes, the silent books, the map, all alive in the same rhythm. The door to the main hall stands open, though you don't remember leaving it that way. The shelves stretch into the golden half-light of dawn. Dust drifts lazily in the air, catching the glow like snow suspended in time. You realize you can hear the city outside again. Faint footsteps, laughter, the hum of life returning. On the oak desk where the librarian once sat lies a single object, a closed book, pale and unmarked. You approach slowly. The moment you touch it, the air thickens, and the library begins to murmur. Thousands of voices, layered and soft, speaking not in chaos, but in harmony. Words, phrases, fragments. Some familiar, some ancient, some you swear you've never heard but somehow understand. You open the book. There are no pages, only light, a warm, pulsing glow that expands and fills the room. It doesn't blind you, it reveals. For a moment you see everything. The street outside alive with whispers, the bottles of echoes shining below, the silent books breathing softly, the map pulsing like a heartbeat, the librarian and the echo collector standing at the edges of your vision. The light flickers once, then focuses into a single word. You read it. At first it's impossible to recognize. It's not written in English, not in any language you know, yet you know it. You feel it in your chest, not your mind. It hums inside you, pulling at something deep and ancient. The word changes shape as you watch, transforming into something simple, human, universal. It becomes, remember. The moment you see it, the light folds into you. The library, the street, the echoes. All of it flows through your veins like sound turning into breath. You understand suddenly what the city has been trying to tell you all along. Language was never about speaking. It was about connection. Every word, every silence, every mistake was just one more way the world was trying to be heard. You hear the librarian's voice again, distant but clear. You came here to learn English. You're leaving having learned something greater. You look around. The books are quiet now. The library rests, at peace. The door to the street stands open, and morning light spills through it, soft and gold. You step outside. The rain has stopped. The city is awake. A shopkeeper greets someone across the road. A woman laughs into her phone. A child asks a question you can't hear but understand anyway. Every sound carries meaning now. Every rhythm, every pause, every echo. You walk down the same street you arrived on, but it's not the same. You're not the same. You reach the corner, and the wind shifts. Gentle, familiar. It brushes against your ear, carrying one last whisper from the library behind you. Don't stop listening. You smile. whispering back, "I won't." And in that moment, that quiet, golden moment between sound and silence, you realize fluency was never about mastering words. It was about hearing the world breathe and understanding that it's been speaking to you all along. The street hums softly as you walk away, alive with the language of memory. And for the first time, you answer without thinking. "I remember."